Hello, Anagha. How are you?
Good. How are you, Sachin?
I'm good. I'm so excited to cook with you today because this food the dishes that you've described just sound amazing.
Oh, welcome to my kitchen. I'm excited to cook along.
So what are we cooking today?
So lately, for the last 3 years, I've turned vegetarian, and I'm also trying to follow what's called sattvic diet, and especially when the season is changing, I feel your body can be more ready if you watch what you're eating. So the food I'm making is actually quintessential Indian. You can find it in all parts of India, various forms, like various tweaks and changes, but it's called Kitcheree. And interestingly, even British adapted that word, and you would find it in your Oxford dictionary as well. So it's a porridge-like dish that's made with lentils and rice, combination of lentils and rice. And typically lentils that are used are without skin, and they're the moong, the moong bean that is widely known. This is the skinless version of the moong bean because it cooks very quickly. And it's also supposedly very light on your stomach, and that's what we are going for, light on our stomach diet. And what we would typically eat it with is a lot of ghee, of course, because it helps with the digestion. And served with a glass of buttermilk and some papad on the side, or some sort of vegetables as a quick saute, and that's what we will do. We will make kitcheree, and we will also make beet thoran, as it's called, or beet poriyal. It comes from south of India. A lot of generous use of curry leaves and coconut oil, fresh coconut, dry coconut, all good fats. And we will not use any onion or garlic. We will just stay with ginger, black pepper for heat, and dry red chilies as well, and cumin and so on, very basic spices, and of course a lot of turmeric. So yeah, that's what we would cook today. I hope you're excited with the dishes.
I'm excited for the wonderful aromas and flavors that are about to come in my kitchen. So what should I do first?
So for the prep work, we usually wash the lentils and rice together, and we would set it aside for about 20 minutes or so. This helps with how the texture of the kitcheree turns out, and so that's what we can do, is wash our rice and rinse it and set aside, which I've done earlier. We will start with what's called Tadka. It's a quintessential Indian term which means tempering, and for which I'm going to add, I hope you can see it still. I'm going to add, heat my pan, and you want to take a heavy bottom pan because otherwise the rice and dal will stick to the bottom. And you can easily make it in the pressure cooker or instant pot if you have. The texture does change if you cook it open stove versus instant pot. I prefer cooking it like this without pressure, but if you're in time bound, you can definitely use pressure. So let's start with heating our oil. I like to use safflower or safflower oil because I feel that that's kind of neutral and doesn't impart its own flavor. And we would drizzle it with ghee later on, right? Okay. So I want to show you this spice box that is a very typical Indian spice box. And depending on which region of India you're in, the ingredients change. So mine has mustard seeds, some of my mom's masala, which is basically coriander and cumin ground up together with a little bit of garam masala. There's this special masala from my town. There's turmeric, cumin, fenugreek seeds, and some red chili powder. And I always keep the asafetida separate. I don't put it in my box because it can otherwise overpower the whole box. So that's my spice mix, which we are going to use, by the way. Now we will add about 2.5 tablespoons of oil. My grandma used to say that no matter how much fat you put inside the kitcheree, it will eat it. So we will not add all our fat at once. We will split it and add some later, right? So that's why I've added only 2.5 tablespoons. I also have these curry leaves that are going in the tempering. and
Okay.
some dry red chili as well, if you can see. These are interesting.
Okay.
These are round ones that are typically used in south of India, but you can use any dry red chili. It doesn't matter. It's the same flavor.
I have round ones.
Oh, you do? That's awesome. So those are the ones that we will use. Yeah.
Okay. How many?
3.
3. Okay. And I don't have fresh curry leaves. Is that I just have dried? Is that okay?
If that's okay. I mean, fresh does impart a different flavor, but instead of not having it, it's much better to have the dried version. It absolutely is fine.
Got it. Okay.
Right. So the way to check if your temperature is ready is we don't add all our mustard seeds at once. We will add literally 3 or 4 mustard seeds. And if they pop, then you know your oil is hot enough for the rest of the ingredients. If they don't pop, then we wait. You should be able to hear the popping sound. Like, I don't know if you can hear mine.
Oh, yes. I can hear it, and mine are popping.
Yeah, so let's add about a teaspoon of mustard seeds.
All right.
There you go. You hear it?
I do.
And half a teaspoon of cumin seeds.
Cumin seeds or
cumin seeds, half a teaspoon.
Okay.
And then half a teaspoon of turmeric, ground up turmeric.
Okay.
And then you add the dry red chili that you have.
Mm.
And fresh curry leaves will splatter. So before adding the curry leaves, I always have a lid handy. So I'm going to put that in and cover it for a second for the oil to not make a mess in my kitchen. But yours are dry, so it may be okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you add, you kind of stir it around and then add a pinch of asafetida.
Okay.
So asafetida is, I don't know, I'm sure Hsiao-Ching, you know, it's a gum or it's a resin. So it comes from a tree bark. Like you make cuts into it, and what you get is this asafetida, and it's often used in dishes that don't have garlic and onion because we believe that imparts a very similar flavor to the dish. And once you're there, we will take our washed lentils and rice, and we would add it to the oil mixture. And you want to stir it and make sure that the oil kind of coats the rice grains and lentil grains.
This smells wonderful already.
So my mom says that if your tadka or tempering is inviting, then you know you've cooked well. You know. Now I'm gonna add some salt. Now this is to taste and also what type of salt you have. I'm boiling water on the side because I like to add boiled water to my kitcheree instead of starting with cold water.
Okay.
Yeah, it not only helps cook faster, but I feel that it changes the consistency. If you start with cold water, it's almost like the rice goes into shock. As opposed to you adding boiling water, it just helps the starch to come out. All right, so let's add some spices to it. This is a mixture that I showed you, but you can combine it very easily. It's actually 1.5 teaspoons together. So teaspoon of cumin powder and a teaspoon of coriander powder. In Maharashtrian cuisine, where I come from India, the state, we always have very balanced, taste, kind of like Thai food, even if it's spicy, we would always add a pinch of sugar. So I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of sugar to my rice mixture. And we would add some lemon later, so it has a little bit of heat, a little bit of sweet. There's also the tang. So it's a very well balanced meal, and that's it.
Fantastic.
And you know, everybody has a different preference. Like some people like it thick. I like mine a little more like a congee or, you know, oatmeal consistency. So that's why I add this much water. And this is the point where I would taste the water just to make sure the seasoning is right. You should taste for salt for sure. And then you should taste how spicy that mixture is. And that's it. I'm going to lower the flame now. Not quite the lowest, like simmer, but pretty close to that. And cover it. And okay, so here, this is my second box of spices. So this is all the whole spices. So I have like whole cumin of cardamoms of 2 different kinds, black pepper, bay leaf, star anise, cloves, and cinnamon. So that's what I have here.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
What I'm going to do is, in the pan, we'll heat it on medium. We don't want it to be hot. We will add about a teaspoon of cumin seeds. And if you have dry coconut, like this unsweetened coconut flakes,
yes.
First we will let the cumin roast a little. We will add 10 peppercorns, and we'll dry roast it till, you know, the spice is going to give out the aroma. Right? You know, you would be surprised. Like if I look at somebody's masala dabba, I can tell which part of India they're from. It's very interesting, like how they are different. And you know, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of dry coconut. And you want to keep a close eye because coconut tends to burn very quickly, and you don't want it to burn. You just want it to kind of become golden. How's your coconut looking? Is it looking golden?
It is starting to look golden.
All right. I'm going to turn the heat off because the pan will be hot and it will cook some more with the pan heat.
Yes.
While that's happening, we can, and the rice is cooking, we can get started with our prepping for our next dish. So you can make this dish with, by the way, you can make it with green beans when they're in season. You can make it with cabbage. You can make it with cauliflower, carrots, right? So you can literally apply this recipe to any of these vegetables. So I'm going to make this in coconut oil. So we're going to use both green and red chilies chopped, like green chilies chopped, and red chilies too. We will add, and I don't know if you can see the box, I'll open it too. This is called the Urad Dal, and which is what is used in more popular foods like dosa, which is like a pancake, and you know, it's very commonly used. So we would add this in the tempering along with some curry leaves, and to which we will add this chopped up. So I've boiled the beet and chopped it, peeled it and chopped it. So that's what we would add. And then when it's done, we would add a touch of, fresh coconut to this. And that will, that's the general process, right? I'm going to have the lentil that I'm adding in my hand. Here, the chilies, the green chili, and the curry leaves. I really, especially when I'm cooking things like that, I really try to have my tempering kind of ready because it goes in one shot. So this is what I have. I don't know if you can see. There is the green chili and also the lentils in it. So that's what I have ready in the bowl. I'm heating the oil, to which I'm going to add mustard seeds. Again, half a teaspoon of mustard seeds. I can hear your mustard seeds pop.
They are popping.
And half a teaspoon of cumin. Half a teaspoon turmeric. A pinch of asafetida.
It's very powerful spice.
Yeah, and so actually it comes from Afghanistan, believe it or not. It's not from India originally. Good asafetida comes from Afghanistan, and Afghanistan used to be part of India at one time, and that's how we got that got that spice in a way from there. Again, I have the curry leaves, green chili, red chili, and the urad dal all together, and I'm gonna have my lid ready just because it's gonna pop. So I'm just gonna add add all of these together. Oh, I'm so excited when it smells so good, right? I get so excited.
It does. It smells wonderful.
Yeah, so I've actually taken it off the heat now. I'm just gonna add the chopped up beet to it.
Okay.
We'll just add salt, taste. And the whole thing is now the beets need to absorb the flavor. So we just lower the heat and cover it and kind of let it come together. That's all there is to it for now. All right. I'm checking on my kitcheree. My water is already like almost gone, and I kind of like the way it's looking right now. Yeah, I like the way it is looking right now. So I'm gonna put it on sim, like lower it completely. Remember that we had sauteed the black pepper and cumin and coconut. So you can either use a coffee grinder, which I use a lot of times because it gives that fine texture, or you can use a mortar pestle and just pound it, because this is what's going on top of the kitchen. Yeah. So for such recipes, I feel that they're so earthy and kind of rustic, and I don't like the thinness of the, that you get with like coffee grinder or any other gadget. I like to keep it rustic that way. So everything should be sort of crushed. That's all you want. So I'm done. It's like a coarse texture here. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm good. And I'm going to chop like this tiny piece of ginger. If you don't like ginger in your mouth, like my kids don't like it, you can grate it. All right, so
I want to know more. So as we're cooking, I want to know more about your Master Chef India experience. It's been a few years.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years, and it was unbelievable. And my friend actually signed me up for audition, and this was the first time they auditioned in the United States. It was in Emeryville, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go. I go, and people have come there with like fancy things, right? First time we had to make something at home and bring it. I'm like, okay, there's no way I'm making it. But I was called back for the second round, and it was a mystery box challenge, and we were supposed to cook things in an hour. And I was done in 40 minutes, presented and done with. And I'm like, okay, there's no way now I'm getting called back. But from that to 5 months in India, I made it to top 5, and unbelievable. You learn so much, and you also see what you're made of. All right, so I've just quickly stirred the beets, and I want to first finish off the kitcheree now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the grated ginger and that mixture of coconut and black pepper, cumin, all of it. In MasterChef, Hsiao-Ching, I did not think I knew a lot about food, and I still don't claim that, but I was amazed like how much stuff I remember, how obsessed I'm with food. I remember these things. And some recipes from my grandma, I was able to recreate them in a very unique way. So it was
that's great.
Well received. Yeah, it was very well received.
But I love that you were also able to bring in some of the influences of living in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, my first audition dish, it was a taco, and the taco was made with sorghum flour, which is very quintessential for my town. But I cooked it, and I had the chicken cooked in a certain way. But then it had the crema, the Mexican crema. It had the pickled jalapenos, and that's who I am, right? I'm an Indian, but now an American for 25 years. So it's kind of interesting to see how. So one interesting dish which I really liked is there's these beans, very peculiar to my town, or my state, and that was one of the like a mystery ingredient that we had to make something using that, right? And so I made ravioli and stuffed it with those beans, the preparation the way my grandma used to make, and then served it in a saffron sauce. And that actually was my dish that I was very loved by people. So it was interesting to create new things. I bring this cilantro from the farmer's market, and it is, if you notice that these are like tinier leaves, they're not like flat leaf, but they are the ones that are most flavorful. So I actually use the stem as well, especially in curries and stuff. If you're going to do some presentation and if it's like a garnish, I would hold off the stems, but then I save the stems and make like almost like a broth, a spicy broth that's from south of India with tamarind and garlic, black pepper, and then I add the stems in it. So
that sounds delicious.
It was funny, Hsiao-Ching, like I did not think people watched it so much. I go to work to San Francisco, and people would recognize me on the bar and want to take pictures. No, the worst was to take pictures, and I would be, because I ride a motorcycle, and so I would have my helmet and my jersey, I mean, like, a jacket, whatever. And I'm like, are you going to take a picture like this? All right, so what I'm additionally going to do, and that's an indulgence, it's not necessary, is I'm going to heat up some ghee in my pan, the same pan that we used for the coconut and that. And then I'm going to fry a few cashews. And I feel that you want the crunch and you want, like good texture to the dish, right? So because this is so soft and gooey, I like to add that crunch with some cashews. And it's kind of makes it, my daughter absolutely loves it. She can go through a bottle of ghee by herself, by the way. So Hsiao-Ching, I have to show you one more thing. Look at this. This is a silver pot, and that's specially for ghee. And they used to engrave it. So it says to me and my husband on our wedding day, and it has a date. So it is, that old, and it was gifted to me by my mom and dad. And that's what I keep my ghee in it, so that's what we would add. Okay, so this is what the ghee and cashews are. And I'm going to keep it separate. When we are serving, I will top it with this so that they feel like they're eating a lot of ghee. But I also am going to add like a dollop of ghee on the kitcheree itself, along with the cilantro. When I'm not yet, in a second. But the beets we can go back to. Beets are almost done. I'm going to add a lot of coconut, almost half a cup. Add the coconut, and it's not like densely packed. So even if it says half a cup, it's not really a lot. And then some cilantro, the chopped cilantro that we have. All right, so I'm back to my kitcheree. All right, so to this, I'm going to add a little bit of fresh coconut just because I have left. You don't need to. And the cilantro that we had chopped. And if I had the stems, I would usually add the stems inside and then keep the leaves for garnish. So like making it look pretty. That's about it. And you can add a giant tablespoon of, how does it taste?
It tastes delicious.
And I'm going to add the ghee.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. And that's it. All like Indian food at home is not very complicated. It uses like basic ingredients, and It's not heavy on sauces. It's not rich in cream and, like how it is outside. Okay, I'm going to show you my third spice box. This is the cardamom that's, again, similar. But this one, it's called nak kosher, but it's very similar to allspice. This is allspice. This is nak kosher, kind of like clove. There's nutmeg. And then there's the mace. But this one, Hsiao-Ching, you might actually find it interesting. This is almost like Szechuan peppers. Right? And it's used in the coastal, like Goa, the coastal town. That's where this is usually used in the fish dishes. And then this one is it's lichen. It's an lichen that grows on the stone. It's called stone flower. So that's another of the spice. So these are ones that are not used as commonly, So that's why it's a separate.
I don't think I've seen that before.
And we normally eat this with achar or pickle because you want some freshness to it. But this is my plate. Happy. It was good cooking with you. So let's give it a try.
It's just so comforting.
Very different.
And I think very universal.
We crave comfort foods, especially in times like these, right? It's something that makes us feel cozy and something that makes us feel kind of happy. So,
oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. These are amazing flavors, and it's just like there's a party going on in my tongue here.
By the way, I had made arancini with this kitcheree. So you leave it and it cools down, it becomes like a lump, and you make arancini. And that tastes delicious. And, I make a dip with pickle, like the Indian pickle, and like almost like a mayonnaise, but with pickle, the spices. And then you have the arancini with that. So
thank you so much for teaching me these dishes today. I'm so grateful. This is fantastic.
Yeah. I'm very happy that I could share it. Like seriously, there's nothing more that makes me happy than like sharing and talking about food, right? That's like my most favorite thing to do. So this is awesome.